Gaurang Shah from Jojit BNP Paribas Financial Services joins us on the show. Gaurang, first a word on where you think the expiry may end, and does it seem like at 5550, 5500 the market has a firm base in place?
Afternoon, Aisha. I mean, if you just flip back yesterday on the trade, I think we made a base somewhere close to about 5580, 5600 on the lower side multiple times as we opened for trade. And then possibly the higher levels were somewhere close to about 5660 to 5650. So considering yesterday's trade pattern, and if there is going to be an absolute range-bound trade that we witnessed this morning, I think anywhere between 5600 to 5630 is where you may see the expiry. But lower levels, I think, given the fact that you have corrected close to about 15 to 20% on the index, maybe sectorially index-wise, we have seen more correction coming in. The downside as of now looks quite limited. You can't rule out about anywhere between 5 to 8% correction from the current levels. But yes, if somebody is looking at long-term story, then definitely a deployment of 25 to 30% on stock-specific, sector-specific ideas is recommended. And of course, with the caveat that we hope that the rupee does not really weaken as we go forward from here against the dollar, because that possibly might trigger negative flows from the FIs, which over the last 2 days have been close to about 1,000 crore plus. So that might be a case to worry about. But overall, I think it's time to nibble into the market.
Gaurang, obviously the one big news point that the market is going to be closely watching out for is the gas pricing decision that the cabinet is likely to take tomorrow. CCA is expected to meet. What's your sense? Do you think do you see gas prices being revised in this meeting, or do you think it's going to take more time? And how much of an upside do you think this is likely to have for exploration companies?
I think there is going to be more deliberation, Sandeep. I don't think yesterday or tomorrow rather, or even as a matter of fact in the next fortnight or a month's time, as the more meetings go on or take place, the decision, if at all it has to come through, my belief or my guess is that it won't be any time before the next 2 or 3 months. A lot of deliberation is required, a lot of consultancy is required, and of course, the translation of passing that price hike to the end consumer is going to be a very tricky subject to deal with, because then across the board you will have to possibly hike the prices, and of course, if like we've seen in case of import coal price hike, which is given a green signal in terms of pass-through, if that is replicated over here, then definitely there is a case of some amount of resistance coming in. So my guess is that at least for next couple of meetings, I don't think there is going to be any concrete or solid decision. If anything happens, maybe in the next couple of months, maybe 2 or 3 months, if there is some amount of consensus on a common platform.
Gaurang, what's the view on Bharti? What is it that you recommend on the stock in the light of course, the EGOM going to decide the price of 2G spectrum today?
Aisha, as a disclosure, we do have a positive coverage on Bharti, and I think the stock where it is trading right now may be close to about 280. On the lower side, we have seen somewhere close to about 260 to 265 being a very strong base. Yes, there is going to be news flows which will create some kind of a direction for the stock. I'm talking about the entire cellular service provider companies, be it Bharti, be it Idea Cellular or Arcom. But like I mentioned, we have a positive coverage. Our earlier targets were 400. We've scaled it down to about 345 to 360. And I think a lot will depend upon what is the outcome of the meetings and, of course, the revision of prices. And in case if there is some negativity in terms of certain penalties being levied, then I think there might be a short to medium-term overhang on the stock. But we believe that pricing power should come back, and the worst is factored in right now.
Gaurang, the other pocket that has seen a fair amount of action is the pharma space. What strategy would you advise investors to adopt as far as pharma stocks are concerned?
Well, if you, Sandeep, see in terms of correction, sectorally again speaking, I think pharma, FMCG have, and of course IT selectively, have seen a limited downside. And now if I have to, reflect back as to the earnings seasons which have gone by, and the ones that will follow starting from 10th of July, I think you will have a curtain raiser for the earnings season. My belief is that they should do reasonably well. And these are the stocks in the bad times, they kind of hold their head above the water. So we have a positive coverage on Sun Pharma, Lupin, Glenmark, Cipla, Dr. Reddy's, and a convictional sell call on Ranbaxy. I think last time around also we spoke about this particular stock, and we've seen it correcting. Yesterday we saw some bounce back, but again the stock has succumbed to the selling pressure. We could possibly see Ranbaxy even heading much more lower from where it is right now. FMCG and IT are the other space where we'll see some amount of safe bets happening.
Gaurang, always a pleasure having you with us on ET Now. Thank you so much for joining in live with this Street View on the show this afternoon.